let's talk about handlebars. So I'm an old school rider, and I used to cut my bars down, and these bars are the original bars from this cruiser. If I take a tape measure, they've been cut down to 27 inches to the width, and then my rider area from grip to grip is 16 and a half. Now what I did, if you look at these grips, is I took these and I cut the last little bit off of them to make them skinnier, to scoot the rider area out to be consistent with my 20-inch. If we look at the 20-inch bars, these were cut down. The original Mongoose ones were cut down. Then I swapped for these random no-name bars that I've got. They're at 28 inches. And they're not bad, but I think they're from a trail bike. I think they're pretty heavy. I don't know what they are. But also I wanted to run some lock-on grips, and I want the same width grips on both bikes. So while my bars here are 28 inches, which is not bad, and my rider area, again, is consistent at 16 and a half inches, I want to have consistency between bike to bike and bar to bar, and I want to switch from these Vans grips, which you can see they twist. Typically my left hand twists a lot, and then I got to blow it back out and straighten it out. Same thing over here. You can see it's twisted here. But my right grip remarkably stays pretty consistent on that bike and pretty consistent on this bike. I love these grips. I love the squishiness of them. I love the flange. I gotta have a flange. I'm kind of old school. If I ride flangeless grips, my left hand just kind of works its way all the way into here. So we're gonna swap bars on both bikes, but let's look at what I picked up. Here we have the Answer bars. We've got a set of 8.5-inch bars for the 20-inch, and then these bars here for the cruiser. Now, the cruisers are shorter than what I had on there. I think these are maybe 6-inch, I think, and what I've got on the bike here are 6.5. But this stem, when I swapped and put the stem on, which is a longer stem to give me more rider area up here in the in the top tube length area. This stem is a top load stem, and it is sitting my bars up higher. So because I was buying bars, I went ahead and got bars that are a half-inch shorter. And if I need to, I've got some adjustability here with spacers that I can set my stem back up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these bars and brake lever off. Unfortunately, it means I got to take the grips off on both bikes. So I'm going to pop the grips off, take the brake levers off, then I'll get to swapping bars. But before we get to that point, in fact, let's just do it right now. I want to show you what I use and how I measure to get the right angle on my bars and be consistent anytime I'm swapping bars or doing anything like this. So I use a digital angle finder, and I first measure a spot on my forks, and I find out what that angle says. It can be different between your forks and your head tube and different forks. Then I measure a spot on my bars, and I do the math to find the difference. So if my forks are at 71, my bars are at 74, then that's a 3-degree difference. So because we're here, we're gonna go ahead and weigh things out. So we'll toss these Mongoose stock cruiser bars, slightly cut down. We'll toss these on here, see what we get. It's gonna be awkward to weigh these things. Hold on. What are we doing here? How is this gonna work? There we go. 25.4 ounces. And then we'll put these Answer bars on. 22.7 ounces. So I'm not necessarily worried about weight, but just figured I'd see what this looks like. One of the things I noticed is that there's no knurling in here. It's kind of painted over. So that'll be interesting to see how the headset or the stem wants to clamp onto that. But let's put these on. All right, so we've got the new Answer bars just placed in here. They're just kind of snug, but they're not tight. So go ahead and turn this guy back on. We're going to double check what our thing says, because depending on where you are on the ground, it could be different. So right now it says 74.0, and so I'm just going to add 3 to that. So 74 plus 3 is going to be 77. So let's pull this back. There we go, 77.2. That's going to be good enough for me. So go ahead and lock these things in. Put our brake lever back on. And then repeat on the 20-inch. Slight modification I had to make to my Van's grips. So I've only got one pair of the Answer that are that I've got in my possession right now. And so what I did is, to get the same feel on both bikes, I went ahead and cut these down so that the flange and rider area will be the same from grip to grip. And that way I'll put these on the 20-inch, these back on the cruiser, and when I get the pair of these in, then the next pair, then I'll be able to just pop these Vans grips off, stick the Answer grips on, and not have to feel any different. So I did trim these down. I'll go ahead and toss these on the cruiser now, get the cruiser done, and then we'll move on to the 20-inch. Actually, before we do that, now one thing I noticed, even though these are brand new bars, they are different widths. So this cruiser set is 27 3/4 from side to side, 27 3/4. And the 20-inch bars, these 8.5-inch rise, are 29. Now, while the 29s are pretty standard, but I want consistency, so I'm actually going to cut these bars down a little bit so that they match the cruiser width and have the same feel from a rider perspective. So we got to do a little bit of math. 27 3/4. If we use the old calculator and go 29 minus 27.75, we get 1 1/4. So now we have to divide 1 1/4 in half, and we're gonna cut that much off of each side, and that way our bars will be even. All right, so I've taken my pick tool, I've marked my measurement here, which is 5/8 of an inch here. Also, I've got another measurement here, 5/8 of an inch. Now, if you're a barbaric kind of person, you could take a Sawzall or hacksaw and cut this, but I'm going to use the pipe cutter because it works. So we'll cut these down with the pipe tool and then get to installing these bars. All right, so let's take a look at these 8.5-inch bars that I had on here. Again, these are not the Mongoose stock ones, but I forget where they came from, maybe some trail bike. 36.15 ounces. And then our Answer bars are 24.35. So that's cool. Again, not a weight weenie, but hey, it helps.
And it's on the lift. Now, you don't have to have a lift, but it helps. And you don't have to have the wheel off, but it still does help.
All right, let's boom, get those on. All right, so there we go. We've got the Answer lock-on grips with a flange on it onto these 8.5-inch rise Answer bars. Saved a couple ounces up front on the bike. Got it locked in, got the brake lever on. That's on both bikes, so the cruiser's right over there. And again, we trimmed these down to be the same width as the cruiser bars. And I trimmed the Van's grips to be the same length as these, so that when I get my second pair of these, I can toss them right on the cruiser. Got the same brake lever on both bikes. And we also tested the angle using an angle finder. And remember, we test what your forks say, and then what your bars say, and then you just get used to what distance you want on your bars. So that's it. All right, y'all, so it's actually been a few months since I shot that beginning content. I've been racing these bars and grips set up. I got my second pair of grips, but been racing these now all summer long, all season long. We're coming up towards state finals soon, and everything is performing really well. The bar width fits great. The grips, I love them. They have just enough sponginess in them that they feel comfortable in my hands. They're not super hard. I really don't like rock hard grips. But I do have that extra width now that I was kind of missing out on. I feel kind of like a big boy now on a big boy bike. But also the height, the rise of those cruiser bars really, really locked in well. I love having that slightly shorter bar after switching that stem. The stock stem was a front load stem that came on the Mongoose. And when I went to that S&M stem, it's a top load stem, which did, like I said, set those bars up a little higher, made the stock ones feel a little bit like I was riding a wheelie bike almost. And so putting these other ones on lined up great. But hey, listen, let me know down in the comments, what are the next parts that you're looking to purchase and pick up? I've got some exciting news coming up in this fall season as we get towards the end of the year. I've got a lot of new products that are going to be premiering here on the channel, and I can't wait to do that for you. It's going to be great. We've got all kinds of parts. Nobody's ever seen them before. We're going to be bringing them out to you here on the channel. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.